maybe a good 3-4 people will relog, and then they'll come back on, and then once everyone's ready, you'll be fighting the first major boss. This plant boss has a couple of major moves. It'll spawn a bunch of ads, which is these plant things, and the first one that it spawns is usually all together in a group. If your team does not kill all these plants, a message comes up that says, "We are killer buds." What happens is, a few seconds later, the plant will start turning red. What your whole team wants to do is, as soon as you see this plant turn red, run to the edges of the map. Don't stand in the middle, try to run to the edge as quickly as you can, get to the sides, because if the plant spins and you give it enough time, it'll spread an AoE wave, and most likely, for a new player that's an Oculus, this might lower your health enough to possibly even kill you. If you're geared, you don't have to worry too much about this, but still, it's just mechanics. Practicing this is good now, because once you get into hard mode, if you don't dodge the AoE wave, you're almost guaranteed to either die or give your priests and mystics a hard time of keeping your whole team alive, which causes a harder time of winning the dungeon. Now, the second mechanic is, you'll see like a green swirl sparkle around the boss's bottom vines, as you can see in front of me. When you see this little line of sparkle, you want to try to back up from the boss, because most likely when you see the sparkle, they'll throw out an AoE stun to be, I would say, at least 12 meters to 15 meters away to not get hit by it. If you get hit by this, you'll get stunned. You'll most likely, if you're an Oculus, you might actually die. If not, you'll be giving your priest a hard time, so you also have to dodge this. There's another thing called the iframe, and that is basically all skill. You need timing and practice, and it's a mechanics kind of thing. What it is if you're a slayer, you'll understand what an iframe is. When you do a roll, half a second in between your roll, that moment right there is your iframe. When you roll, there's a chance of you avoiding any kind of hit, even if it actually hits you in animation. I'll try to show you what I mean by iframe. I dodged the wave coming in because of the iframe. I rolled right in time. Other classes have iframes, such as Reapers, Warriors, Berserkers, and Lancers. You can block most of these AoEs, so you guys are pretty much good and safe. When you're fighting this plant, you want to stay on the side of the boss, away from either the Lancer or Berserkers, because they'll most likely be pulling the most aggro. Every once in a while, it'll also spawn some chicken potato looking monsters. What we call it is, we call it bombs, and these chickens will chase one person, and that person's job is to stay away from your teammates, because after a few seconds of getting close to you, they'll start to detonate. Try to get out of there after they start getting ready to explode, and it's easier to survive from. Otherwise, that's all the mechanics that you need to know for this boss. After you finish killing the plant boss, you walk into the next area, and it's just trash mobs. Now, the way to get through this area is, there's 3 major bodyguards, one on the left path, one in the middle path, and one on the right path. Going through them, you want to kill the 3 bodyguards, so let your Lancer take the lead first. Everyone should follow him and kill the bodyguards one by one, and once you manage to kill all 3 bodyguards, the gate to the next area will open, and just follow your teammates to the next area. Head to the left a little bit to the little opening, and this spot, this little opening area, is your safe spot. What I mean by that is, you're not completely safe when the boss is mobile. The boss has a major attack, and it starts spreading AoE circles all over the map. This move, in order to avoid it, is you just have to go to this corner spot and you'll be safe. If you're in Oculus armor, I suggest, yeah, definitely go to the safe spot. But if you're highly geared, like most of the people in the run with me, you don't really have to worry about it, you can just tank it. But during hard mode, for my future guide, you need to actually go to the safe spot. Everybody needs to, otherwise you give your priest and mystic a hard time. And they're only 2 people, and if you die, it's not really their fault, it's your fault for making the mistakes. Everyone always blames the mystic and priest when they die themselves, but in reality, it's really their own fault for not either dodging, blocking, or doing mechanics correctly. After you get to the safe spot, you'll be fine. And the second major mechanic is, the boss will put a bunch of writing and green in the middle of the screen, and it'll say your name, and a bunch of bees are being summoned, and they'll be following that one person. Now, the way you avoid that is, you can either, 1, move toward the boss if you're not a healer, and have all your teammates kill the bees for you. I do it that way because I'm a DPS and I'm lazy, and I could just kill the bees anyways. In hard mode, you might not want to do that as much. You might want to do it the correct way. And the third way is, you go to the web areas, which is, I'll show you right now in front of me. Now, this web area, if the bees walk on top of it, they'll take damage over time and they'll be slowed. And as you walk through it, that's how you get rid of all the bees without dying. In normal mode, it's not so much important. I just let my teammates kill it because it's weak and easy. But if your team is pretty weak, you may want to go to the web to save your team some problems. A third major mechanic is, the bee will put a gigantic circle around him. And this mechanic isn't as important on normal mode, but on hard mode it's very important and I suggest practicing it. But as you can see, as soon as the circle comes out, I wait a few seconds and then I roll perfectly to dodge the rope that he's gonna leash all my teammates in. And as you can see, I get away, but all my teammates, this part is on hard mode and it shows that it can actually kill a lot of your teammates. And I lose about 4 or 5 of my teammates that die, which gives my priests and mystics a hard time. And this is where I go back to saying it's your fault for not dodging and blocking or doing something to get away from dying and causing the priests and mystics more problems. Now, besides these 3 major mechanics, he has a tiny circle which he throws down, and if you get hit by this, you get stunned temporarily. It's not that important on normal mode. Hard mode, it can get dangerous. Everything could get dangerous in hard mode basically, so try to not get hit at all. On hard mode, the only thing you're gonna have to not worry about is the basic attacks from the bosses. Another thing to know about this bee, or this wasp I should say, its attacks come from its front and back, so DPSing it from the side, it would be your best bet. Lancers would hold aggro from the front. Now, another thing to keep notice, avoid having the bee go out of the walls, because if the bee goes out of the wall, there's a chance it will reset and you would have to fight the whole thing all over again. So I would try to keep the bee in the middle, or Lancers try to slightly once in a while turn the bee. Now, after you kill the bee, you go into the final boss. Now, this boss will probably be the most mechanic heavy out of this guide, and I understand the first time you look through this video, you're going to say, Gary, what the fuck are you talking about? It gets more easy once you do it more longer and you understand how to do it after a while, but this beetle has a lot of mechanics that you need to understand. The first mechanic is, you can see in front of him, there's a shield that goes around him and a message that pops up, the ground quakes. When this shield comes up, all your teammates need to DPS the beetle. If you do not break the shield fast enough in terms of DPS, all your teammates will take a lot of damage, and if a priest does not proc a Kaya shield on you, or if you do not use a warding scroll in time, a warding scroll you could buy in the broker as well. Warding scroll 6. If you do not get any of these things, you will be knocked back. You will take a ton of damage. Normal mode, not so much, and in hard mode, this can pretty much guarantee your death. 98% of the time you'll be dead, unless a priest gets to you and cleanses you, or you have the brooch from Nexus to cleanse status effect. And for more information about the brooch that cleanses status effects, you can go into my Nexus guide. Another thing is, priests, as soon as you see the shield come up, get ready to time your Kaya shield. That will save your teammates. If you guys are not confident enough in breaking the shield, everyone gather together, move toward the beetle, so that way as soon as the beetle's about to use his AoE attack for the penalty for not destroying the shield in time, the priest can use Kaya's shield, which causes you to not get knocked back. And on top of that, they can use their cleanse to cleanse the poison off of you, and then therefore right after using healing, saving everybody, or as many people as possible. Range DPS, that includes you move in.